Her ticket was found, torn and stained on an empty seat. No body, no blood, no trace, just gone. This story discusses a decades-old missing person case and contains references to disappearance and forensic investigation. Imagine yourself in the humming silver hull of a cross-country train, rattling across the American Midwest in the summer of 1975. Picture the creaky vinyl seats, the warm air laced with cigarette smoke, and faces turned to passing towns blurring outside. Our main character is Lila Bennett, 22 years old, a journalism student with a mess of brown curls, eager for stories, her own and others. It's July 19, 1975, and Lila boards the famed Zephyr at Chicago's Union Station, bound for Denver. She is traveling alone. It's her first time heading west. Also on board are George and Rose Hernandez, a retired couple who play cards in the observation car. There's conductor Frank Wallace, 30 years on the rails and a stickler for protocol. And there's a drifter known only as John Doe, tall with mutton chops, a red duffel bag, and a battered notebook. The Zephyr's cars groan with every lurch. Night falls as the prairie gives way to pitch-dark fields, moonlit rivers, and lonely crossings. Lila journals in her seat by the window, her pen scratching as she watches the world fly by. During a nighttime stop in Galesburg, Illinois, Lila calls her mother. "All good, Mom. See you Sunday. Love you." It is the last confirmed contact from her. When the Zephyr arrives in Denver, Lila is nowhere to be found. The staff, distracted by rowdy summer travelers, assume everyone has departed. Lila's suitcase is found in the luggage rack. Her journal rests open on her seat, last line scribbled. "He keeps staring, I feel." Her ticket is beneath the notebook, torn, stained. The inciting incident, Lila Bennett is gone. Serious investigative tone, clue number 1. Lila's suitcase waits unclaimed at Denver Union Station. Inside, her ID, camera, and wallet. Not what you'd leave if you intended to disappear. This is the seat where Lila last sat. Police, baffled, interviewed dozens. Did she get off at an earlier stop? Nobody recalls seeing her after Galesburg. There's a false lead. An elderly woman claims Lila was in the snack car in Nebraska, but the manifest shows it was another young woman. In July 1975, an official investigation opens. Case file 75-2176, Denver Metro Police, FOIA release. Detectives dig into the train logs. Conductor Frank remembers seeing Lila after Omaha, quiet, anxious. At 3:12 a.m., near a remote siding in western Nebraska, the train stalls briefly. Conductor Frank hears a door slam but chalks it up to routine checks. A John Doe appears on the manifest. Paid in cash, gives no address. He vanishes just after Lila, first tension peak. Near midnight, a crew member finds a woman's scarf snagged in the linkage between cars. A pattern of threads matching Lila's jacket. Imagine heading into the night, not knowing who else is awake or watching. The isolation of travel seems thrilling, until it isn't. The next day, police interview all remaining passengers and crew. Rumors swirl, perhaps foul play, an accident, or voluntary disappearance. But the train passed only Ghost Prairie. Jumping off meant certain death or simply vanishing into nowhere. Second tension peak. The search party follows the tracks along the Nebraska-Colorado border. Dogs catch a faint scent but lose it at a riverbank. According to a court record from 1976, no physical evidence of struggle or remains found to date. Missing person presumed dead per Colorado Code 18-3-102. Lila's family refuses to believe it. Her mother pins her photo to the wall, next to articles on other vanishings. In 1979, the case is closed, unsolved. Decades pass. An obsession grows. Every few years, an anonymous letter arrives at the Bennett's home. Handwritten, unsigned. She's by the river. Once, a torn scrap of train timetable is included. The family hands these letters to cold case investigators, but there are no fingerprints, no DNA, just old paper cuts and grief. In 1996, DNA evidence is stored from the scarf, but the technology can't extract a profile. Meanwhile, urban legends bloom. The ghost of the Zephyr becomes true horror podcast fodder. In 2005, there's one more flare of hope. FOIA archive number 1975-2176-S18. An unsolved case summary with redactions covering most suspects. Rose Hernandez, now widowed, gives an interview. Soft, elderly voice, gentle sadness. She was just a girl, she smiled at me. Said she wanted to write stories like Truman Capote. No one listened when she went missing. But the case for now stays cold, shadows on the prairie, and in the files. Then comes the DNA twist. 2021, the return of hope. Forensic genetic genealogists at Parabon Nanolabs get a grant to re-examine cold cases. Lila's case is selected due to persistent family advocacy. A swab from the scarf, a tiny degraded sample, but the new technique leads to a promising result. It hits on a shared familial marker with someone recently entered into a public genealogy database. It was a partial match, says Detective Mia Vasquez, the reopened files case lead. We built a family tree, we found a distant cousin. Zoom on black and white crime scene photo. This is the original evidence box, file tag number 752176. The cousin, living in Kansas, has never heard of Lila, but his great-uncle Paul D. was on the Zephyr that July shift, as crew. At first it seems like a new false lead, but on his deathbed Paul D. admits, soft hush. I heard two people fighting, then nothing. I didn't want to get involved. I still hear her scream. In 2023, using DNA from the scarf and family tree triangulation, police identify a match, John Doe, aka Daniel Kruger, a known fugitive involved in 2 assaults on trains in the 70s. First attempt at arrest? Too late. Kruger died in 2013. Climactic, immersive. Imagine the Zephyr racing into the night. Imagine you're in Lila's place, feeling watched by a stranger whose name you'll never know in a car full of sleeping passengers. Detectives piece together Kruger's record. He had prior charges of robbery and assault on trains dating back to 1971. Newly unsealed court files, U.S. versus Kruger, case file 837217, show he was dismissed from railroad work after a violent altercation in 1974. In a 1975 police report, Kruger boarded the Zephyr that July as a paid passenger. Detectives overlay train schedule, Kruger's alibi, Paul D.'s deathbed confession, and the DNA from the scarf. The conclusion: Lila fought back, lost her scarf during the struggle, and likely fell or was pushed between the cars over the Nebraska tracks. Her body was never found, maybe swept away by the river, maybe lost in the grasslands, but the DNA on her scarf matches Kruger. The immediate aftermath, Lila's case is officially reclassified from missing, presumed dead, to homicide. The Bennett family receives long-awaited closure. Police issue a public statement, media reawaken to the story. Fade to 1970s news clip, old-time radio tone. Authorities ask for information on the disappearance of Lila Bennett. Last seen July 19, 1975, aboard the Denver Zephyr. Epilogue. Lila's story changes how train lines handle missing persons. Mandatory security cameras are installed. Lila's law pushes for quicker Amber Alerts even for adults. Denver Union Station funds a memorial for unsolved disappearances with Lila's name at the top. In 2025, Detective Vasquez reflects for the local paper. It wasn't about finding guilt. It was about truth and letting a family sleep, finally. You might wonder how many other cold cases are moments away from a breakthrough. How many people are still waiting for the truth buried in an attic or a strand of DNA? Will we ever know what happened to everyone who just vanished? If you watched this far, thank you for walking into the heart of mystery and for remembering Lila. Would you travel alone on a cross-country train today? Have you, or someone you know, ever felt truly vanished by society? And what does justice look like when answers come too late? Leave your respectful stories, likes, or support below. If you or someone you know needs help, consider calling the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800 the lost. And remember, every story matters,